Here's a Baal Shem Tov story. One day, the Baal Shem Tov took his pupils and ordered 10 of them to get into the carriage with him. And they drove in the carriage. The carriage used to drive itself. He had a driver, Alexei, and he told the driver to let the reins down and to turn around. Anyway, they drove. They went. Finally, they got into the middle of a field. And they drove for a couple hours. They got into the middle of the field. The Baal Shem Tov said, everyone get out. And he told them beforehand to bring food. They wanted to make a little meal, a little picnic out there. So they set up the food. They ate. Baal Shem Tov didn't eat anything. Didn't eat anything. He said he waited. After they finished the meal, he poured everybody a l'chaim. He took the l'chaim that he had and he drank a little bit of it, made a little hole in the ground, stuck his finger in the ground and poured the l'chaim there. Said l'chaim to life. And he said, that's it, let's go back. So his pupils asked him afterwards, what did we do? What exactly happened? What did you make a hole, pour your little cup of vodka into the hole? So the Baal Shem Tov said, years ago, there was a successful businessman, and he had a beautiful daughter. And he married his beautiful daughter to a Jew. These are Jews. The successful businessman was a Jew, a religious Jew. And he married his successful daughter, the successful businessman married his beautiful daughter, God-fearing, just perfect wife, to a handsome, young, genius Talmudic scholar. He showed all the promises of being one of the biggest rabbis. And they got married with a tremendous pomp and festivities. Everybody came, and they were all praising this young man. And the young man was really just a really good example for everybody. And he had a good word for everybody, and he had good advice for everybody, and he helped everybody learn Torah. The problem is that he was a big egotist. And all of no matter how much attention and praise that he got, it was never enough for him. And any little thing that he could interpret to be that somebody was saying something negative about him, he took it to heart. Anyway, there was a priest in the town. Of course, the non-Jews outnumbered the Jews. A priest in the town, and this priest eventually caught on to him. The priest got to know everybody, right? So the priest, he caught on to this, and he saw his fault, and he worked on it. Until finally he convinced this young man that he should come and speak to all the other priests and lecture them because he was a big genius. And when he did, all these priests really praised him. They just praised him, and just in ways that he had never been praised before. And he felt that finally I found people, and these people really appreciate me. So he found himself frequenting these priests and giving them lectures more and more, until little by little he was drawn into them, and he started eating with them and drinking with them, and he became more and more enamored of these priests. The priests were also intelligent people, or smart people, and especially the praise that he got. And he left. He wrote a note to his wife, and he left Judaism. And he went, and the priest was I guess this was in Germany or wherever it was. So the priest was a married person. He was married. The Catholics, priests don't get married. So the priest had a daughter, and he married this guy to his daughter, and he became very successful. And he gave him a big estate, and he became like a sub priest himself, whatever it was. He was and he's walking around in his estate, strolling around, seeing all the beautiful things they are. They're smoking a cigarette, realizing how successful he is and how happy he is, how he made the right decision. He left Judaism, he left this, until one day he hears crying. Someone's crying. So he walks over. Who's crying? The old guard. There's a guard. The guard who guards this big this orchard, whatever, the orchard of this young new priest, right? He's guard. He keeps the animals away. So he asked him, "What are you crying for? What are you crying about?" And he said, "Oh, you wouldn't understand." He said, "Okay, maybe I won't understand, but at least tell me, what are you crying about? Well, maybe I will understand." So he said, "I'm a Jew, and I left Judaism, The guard says, I left Judaism a long time ago. And today is Yom Kippur. And I realize how big a mistake I made, that I left Judaism. I feel terrible. He said, you don't have to worry about it. I'll get over it. Every year, same thing happens. I go back to myself, but that's why I'm crying. Because in fact, I realized that, I've gone against God. I've gone against myself. I've gone against the Torah. I went against everything. But, that's life. I wanted to have a secure place. That's why I'm crying. So this new priest, right? He leaves the old man. He starts thinking to himself, listen, this is the story the Baal Shem Tov is telling, right? To his pupils. He's saying, listen, this old man is crying because he left Judaism. That's the same thing I did. I also left Judaism. And little by little, it started to drip into his soul that he's making a big mistake. He's got success. He has spirituality. He's whatever you want. He's going to go to heaven. He's got all these promises, but he's wrong. He made a big mistake. So little by little, this creeps into his soul and creeps into his heart that he starts to really regret things. And one day, this young priest, he just leaves. He just leaves. He ups and he leaves. And he goes back. I think he goes back to where he was. His wife, his old wife, he's already been away like for 15 years. Who knows how long. In any case, this new priest who used to be the young, promising Talmudic scholar, he suddenly realizes he made a big mistake and he leaves the estate and goes back to Judaism. He runs away to some place, whatever it was, and he returns to Judaism. So his wife, meanwhile, he doesn't come home, and his non-Jewish wife, she's the daughter of the original bishop, whatever the guy his title was. So she says, "Why is my husband not here? Can't figure it out." So why isn't he coming? So she goes and they're making a big search. Maybe he was killed, maybe it was that. Until finally comes around that she asks the guard, the old guard, and the old guard says, "I saw your husband. I saw him, a few weeks ago. I told him about, I was crying, and he told him the whole story about how he was Jewish, and then, so his wife said, listen, my husband was willing to leave everything, the promises of going to heaven, the threats of going to hell. He didn't care about anything, only because he's a Jew. He returned to Judaism. Maybe Judaism is true." And she left and converted. She left and converted. And she told the old guard that that's what she was going to do, and she left. She left it. Baal Shem Tov says, so this old guard, he says, well, because of my crying about leaving Judaism, as two people came back to Judaism, they came back to the truth. And what about me? I was the one who caused this, and I'm still stuck over here just because I wanted security. And the guard decided that's it, he's going to leave too. But he was an old man at this time. He was already, 80 years old. And he left, didn't make any preparations, just left. And he fell asleep in some place in the middle of this, and he fell asleep, and it was cold, and he died. And this is the place where he died. This is the place. That's where we went. We traveled to this place, and my making a l'chaim over there and pouring that was a fixing up of his soul. That fixed his soul. And that's the reason that the Baal Shem Tov took his pupils to this place in order to correct in a complete way all of the mistakes that this guard had made, and also to remind. But the reason that he went there was because the guard in the end did cause two people to change their mistaken life paths. And so Mashiach will do to all of the Jews in the world to wake everybody up. And a little bit of vodka helps. And eventually the whole entire world to realize the oneness of the Creator and the truth of the Torah and how much God loves everybody. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, a good Shabbos. And we'll see each other on Sunday, 8 o'clock in the morning. See you all then. Shalom uvracha.